Hey everybody, it's Brian. Before I did this Seahawks stuff full time, I worked as a manager and senior leader, so I know how lonely it can be to try to find someone you trust to talk through people issues, org issues, process issues as you try to lead an organization. Ryan Cleveland of RyanCleveland.com is someone I trust to have those conversations with. He specializes in working with CEOs and business owners, and you can get a complimentary free discovery session to see if it's a good fit for you. Just go to RyanCleveland.com to sign up and start now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Real Hawk Talk. I am Brian Nemhauser, and you can find me on all the places at Hawk Blogger, even if they're trying to shut us down over at TikTok. Apparently, everyone's going to the Chinese communist government-owned app RedNote. It's the number one app on the App Store right now. Not only that, I have heard that people, as a show of protest, an interesting show of protest, there's some people that have put their social security number as their user profile name just to show how little they care about the Chinese government having access to all of their information. Yes, that's the kind of conversation we're going to have tonight as the entire Real Hawk Talk crew, sans Jeff Simmons, new daddy Jeff Simmons, who's probably getting his 1 hour of sleep a day right now. But excited to have the full crew here to go over some of the most awful, embarrassing Seahawks predictions from so-called Seahawks experts you're ever going to see. We'll go through all those. There's also some pretty good ones. I will reveal as we go along who predicted what and how everything went. Before I do, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. We just passed over 14,000 subscribers on the channel last night, and would love to keep pushing up. Let's see how far we can get before next season. So in order to bring people in, I'm not going to just introduce every person and, kibitz like I normally do, because that would just take the entire hour. So we're gonna jump right in, and Evan, you're first up here. Evan Hill HB. What is your most embarrassing thing that you believed to be true about the 2024 Seahawks before the season that turned out to be horribly wrong?
Most embarrassing thing I believed to be true about the Seahawks that proved to be horribly, horribly wrong. Oh my God. I thought Tariq Woolen was good at football.
Ouch. Are you going to make me edit this out later too? Like, is that going to happen?
You prompted me suddenly, so I had to skate through the trauma some of the trauma I experienced over this past season. He's a sore spot for me this past year.
I can tell that I don't think you're alone in that take. Nathan, I love, how I love this opportunity to just talk about how wrong we are about things, because most people just focus on what they're right about. So what comes to mind for you as something that maybe you were a little off on?
I thought Devin Witherspoon was going to be a difference maker this year.
Whoa. Whoa. I was like, those are shots fired. I don't know how that's going to go over on the interwebs.
No. I mean, I think maybe it's the Julian Love thing. I did not think that was a great deal. I did not think he deserved the Pro Bowl thing he got last year. And he was pretty awesome all year. So that was maybe the big one. Oh, or Abe Lucas, I guess. But I won't steal it from Deryck, because that's
I was going to wait and see if anyone's going to own that. Dayna O'Gorman at Dayna OG. Dayna, you're never wrong. But in the few cases that you are, like, give us the most wrong you can remember for this 2024 Seahawks season. Yeah, I feel that. Josh Cashman, his heroes in the background is Is this already your predictions for next year coming into this prediction show?
I'm just coming to terms with reality, and I'm preparing for the worst, honestly, at this point, and I'm trying to visualize it before it happens. So when it happens, I'm not too shocked.
Are you BSing us? Like, do you actually think this is like a potential reality?
I don't think it's likely, but I've like the Seahawks have done dumber things, and I don't know. I just want to prepare mentally.
I think you're aiming too high, actually. Brian laid out the case for Jaron Hall being the starting quarterback.
I mean, don't. Tavares Jackson was our starter, RIP, and you never know how low John's willing to go for a bridge year. But Josh, what comes to mind for you? What's something you believe to be true that turned out to be horribly, horribly wrong?
Well, if we're just talking Seahawks,
yes,
probably because I've gone back and watched like your guys' older podcast, early season stuff, and I believed a lot of the stuff you guys were saying, and I was like right on board with everything. I was so on board with Ryan Grubb, and I was so I was seeing all DK Metcalf's going to be used in the backfield. He's going to get more targets than he ever has. It's going to be like game changing. And then we couldn't even convert a 3rd and 2. It looked like an offense run by like a baby. It just was the worst thing I've ever seen. It couldn't have been more the opposite than I thought it was going to be. I feel like I had to go there. There's a few other ones, but that one's really like the most disappointing for me.
See, not everybody knows Josh like we know Josh. Josh is like this angelic, gentle soul who just loves the Seahawks, loves people, positivity just emanates from him. And I saw the Joker experience happen with Josh relative to Ryan Grubb. I don't know that I've seen him hate anybody.
Oh my God.
To the level that he ended up hating Ryan Grubb.
That Bears
I didn't
game,
feel that way, but you really got there with him.
That Bears game broke me. Like Evan talks about the Dallas game breaking him. That game broke me, but for him. I don't think I ever got to that low point when Shane Waldron was our offensive coordinator that whole time. And I hated that guy too. I don't know. We can move on, but.
Well, this is good to know, as we'll have a new OC here probably in the next few weeks. And I'm telling you, folks, Josh is someone who's probably going to love everybody in the world except for who is calling plays for your Seattle Seahawks. So keep that in mind. Poor guy is about to get some hate from Josh Cashman. Deryck Gebe, whose name I only today learned how to spell, joins the show. A rare appearance from Deryck, DRYCKG_. I'm shocked that you have not taken an opportunity to at least you just spell out your last name as part of your handle, and nobody would guess wrong, man. So what's going on there?
I don't know.
You don't want people to find your Twitter handle is what it is.
I've had Deryck, just the handle Twitter, Deryck bookmarked for like 4 years now, waiting, hoping. This account has been inactive since like 2011. This dude's not making a tweet again. I'm like hoping one day it's going to be deleted. Like I check it like every month or so. Nope, still there. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I think once you get there, and I believe you will get there, it is going to be a wholly disappointing experience.
Probably.
I think Twitter will probably close the next day once you get that.
I did secure Deryck on Blue Sky, so
there you go. Yeah, Blue Sky, you can pretty much get whatever you want. Although it's a little bit more selective now. So how about you, Deryck? What comes to mind?
Okay, well, Nathan kind of spoiled it. I did not think Abe Lucas was going to play this season. I was bearish on him all year, even at week 8. Didn't think it was going to happen. So I will eat some crow there. Evan, I really think you copped out. You predicted Jason Myers to miss 0 field goals for like the 4th year in a row, and it failed again. So I just want to call out Evan on that.
I actually I have a lot of things I got wrong. I will say this. For the benefit of the man next to me on the screen. I thought Jason Myers was a big part of why the Seahawks won 10 games this year.
That's right. That's 100% correct. And you know what? They could open up cap space this offseason with another extension for our kicker.
You understand, like, he makes 2 times that or 3 times that of what Laken Tomlinson cost. Like, he is keeping us from spending Kevin Zeitler money on a veteran guard.
No, John Schneider is keeping us from spending Kevin Zeitler money on a guard.
Thank you, Evan.
Yes. Well, as we kind of roll into the predictions, as people that attended the mayhem that was the prediction show with everybody on it to start this season, we're not going to talk to everybody about everything or it would take all night. So we're going to hit a couple high notes. We're going to go through what the results were. Before we do that, I do want to get a couple beats from people, just normal Real Hawk Talk stuff. Offensive coordinators. Can I get by a show of hands if you are excited about a name? I'm going to say each name that we know so far. And if you are like excited about this OC, raise your hand. Okay. You guys understand? This is a smart crew. All right. Hank Fraley. Okay. We got Deryck and Nathan.
Wait, the nerds, the 2 nerds on the show are more excited about the O-line coach?
I'm abstaining. I'm recusing myself. People know. Wait. Josh, you're excited? Okay. That's 3. Okay. Clint Kubiak. 0 hands go up. Interesting. Thomas Brown. 0 hands go up. All right. Grant Udinsky.
Let's go! Let's go!
Okay, so we got some double votes here. Nathan, Deryck are excited. Evan, if you didn't understand or couldn't hear, that was Mr. In and Out himself getting excited there. Josh, did I see you? Did your hand go up there? No. Okay. So before I get to some of the responses, Dayna, 0 for 4. Is that where are you at? Udinsky, yes. Yeah. Speaking of ages, yes, there is no doubt about that. We'll have some chances to talk about that, I'm sure. I don't think there's anything less predictable than Evan Hill being excited about the youngest coach that's being interviewed. Is he the first one that's younger than you?
He would be. But I'll just say this. You know who else became an offensive coordinator at 28 years old?
Pete Carroll.
Sean what? McDaddy? Something like that? Sean McVay was an offensive coordinator at 28 years old. It's a shocking interview, like being serious for a second. I know he seems to be like a really well-respected name in league circles, though, despite his assistant position. He probably deserves some credit for how Sam Darnold performed this year outside of the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's an interesting selection group so far. I'm assuming there's more names beyond those just 4, right? That probably are
Brady Henderson said as much. I don't know that he knows who the other names are, but that's been the story. A little bit of a heads up for folks. I just confirmed with the author of the article on Grant Udinsky. Ben Gosling will be on the show Friday morning. So looking forward to digging in with Ben to get to know our potential 28-year-old wonderkind as well. Deryck and Nathan, I'm going to need you to narrow it down a little bit. Who would you be more excited about? Who would you be more? Nathan, I'm coming to you because you're shaking your head. That immediately means I'm coming to you.
Why not
Who
both?
would you be more excited about?
Why not both?
Well, that's another possibility. That would be, I think, would folks be most excited about the combination of Fraley and Udinski? Is that
Would it be Udinski as like pass game coordinator?
Pass game coordinator, quarterback's coach, right?
Sure.
Fraley would be the offensive line coach plus the official OC and the run game coordinator.
Right. Yeah, I think you give Fraley the OC title, give Udinski the passing game coordinator, and whatever else he wants. If he wants to be QB coach, and then I think that would be really exciting because you have someone who's a veteran, who's offensive line focused. You bring in the wonder kid who probably jives really well with Mike. Still think you probably want to find, like we've been talking about, like a mentor, like who's the offensive Leslie Frazier. I still think for that group, you probably still want to find something like that. They got to get their tater in there. But no, that's the dream scenario for me.
What I'm hearing you say is you want to recreate the Tom Cable coaching structure where we have a run game coordinator, offensive line coach, and a passing game coordinator. So the Darrell Bevel, Tom Cable. That's what I'm hearing from you.
A little bit, but like I think the dynamics.
It did lead to a couple Super Bowl appearances.
It did, and the dynamics are pretty different here with like Cable being technically under Bevel, but having previously been ahead. Like the dynamics there were funky for sure.
Yes.
What did Tom Cable even do? Like as a run game, like did they just run inside zone? 30 times?
In power once.
I am not going to re-legislate Tom Cable. We've had that conversation. People will be shocked how recently we've had this conversation. What goes on in the Real Hawk Talk chat would blow people's minds. I will say, if people don't know, Leslie Frazier, as of tonight, request has come in for him to be interviewed for the Dallas job. So who knows? There might be a position available as Mike McDonald's mentor. I'll throw out a little bit more of smoke around the Hank Fraley fire. Do you think it's a coincidence that the first guy that was called, Hank Fraley, named as a coordinator, as a candidate, who also was named as someone who was had ideas for passing game coordinator, that the teams also announced two guys to interview who were in the NFC North with Hank Fraley, Udinski, Thomas Brown, both guys that Hank Fraley probably knows pretty well. Don't know. Kind of interesting. Deryck, obviously everyone wants the dual thing, but between the two of them, if you could only have one, If we're talking genuine excitement, it's going to be Udinski. Like, there's no way Sam Darnold is actually that good. Like, that is like better than the Jared Goff turnaround going to Detroit. I mean, it's insanity. And I think he certainly played a part in that. Kevin O'Connell's great. Great coach, great OC, or great coaching play caller. But I think Udinski absolutely had a part in that. So I'd be curious to see what he could do. If we're talking like long term, I would love Fraley to come in and tell John Schneider how garbage his O-line is. And maybe it would kick John in the right direction to finally invest in the O-line, in the interior O-line specifically. But if we're talking genuine excitement, it's Udinski. You do feel like Fraley would be the guy that John would like listen to on that, right? Like he'd be like, okay.
He played the position. He's seen it. He's coached on a badass O-line team for the last few years in the Lions.
Let me paint the picture. They would sit down on a Saturday night, put on Old School, or some other Will Ferrell movie on the team meeting room, big screen, and be eating horrible food, drinking probably heavily, and Fraley would lay it out there as like, dude, no, it's got to change. And John would be like, you know what, you're right. That's how it would happen. Something like that. Josh, we need to know, who would you hate the most, like preemptively?
So most of the guys I would hate, I just don't know anything about. That's mainly why I would hate them. But for it's Udinski. Is that how you pronounce it, right?
I think it's Udinski.
Udinski. So my whole thing with that is, first of all, getting a guy like around my age is like terrifying. Like I couldn't imagine being like a coordinator for an NFL team and they're getting a guy. But anyway, we spent that entire year talking about Ryan Grubb being like, oh, he just needs like someone to like look over the offense. Like he just needs time. He just needs time, and like give him another year, like he'll be able to figure it out. And then we hire a 28-year-old. Geno Smith is 34 years old. Like we need to like get someone in there who can actually like get the most out of Geno. And I know that's a different perspective than a lot of people. A lot of people are thinking long term. But Mike McDonald already has a Leslie Frazier. We can't hire like every guy out there. We got to actually get a guy who can actually do the job on his own. And I just feel like we need a more experienced guy at offensive coordinator. We just did that route of having a guy who had never coached an NFL game before, and it went about as terrible as I could have imagined. So I'm down to do one guy who's super young, but one offensive coordinator and defense coordinator who's super young. I'm not usually the ageist guy, but I'm gonna be the ageist guy today.
We got to get some balance on here. Like we have the two, like, are you guys technically young millennials or are you old Gen Z?
I'm literally the middle point between Gen Z and millennial, like literally 99, 95.
That's not surprising.
No.
Tracks.
We are barely millennials, Josh. We're not.
Yes.
I think it's.
I'm saying.
I think 97's the cutoff, though.
So I'm 97. So I don't know
Derek,
where I
you're
don't
right
know
there
which
with
I'm in. I'm this guy is like I don't know how many months older than me, but yeah.
See, but Derek, you're so much more mature than these two. Like, I would never expect you. I would never bucket you in the same category as these
Brian,
two.
you definitely thought I was like 20, 21 at the oldest.
I mean, for sure. I thought that maybe you had a fake ID. That's a possibility. So, well, it's interesting. I certainly hear the cautious note, and I saw Dayna shaking her, like nodding vigorously. You just saw a college OC who's never called a play come in and it didn't work out. Before that, you had Shane Waldron, who had never been a play caller, come in and not work out. And now you're going to get excited about another guy who's never called a play? How stupid are all of you? That is a completely rational perspective to have. And to be totally honest, this is Mike McDonald's, like, I know he didn't like the question when Greg Bell asked it, and I think there's a reason why he didn't like it. But he said, I was 100% involved with the last hire. I want to be 100% involved with this hire. I think he's going to be a little different percentage owning this hire than he did the first time. And so, you know, good for him. Good for him to take his time, cast a wide net. Better nail it, dude. Better nail it. And I don't want to hear anything about sleep deprivation from Jack, you know, or his little kid. Like, you got to nail this one, man. Got to nail it. All right, so let's get into the predictions. And we're going to start with the most important part of predictions, which is actually looking at the game predictions. All right, so let me put this up on screen for all of you to see in all its glory. And we'll put it up here so you guys can all see what tragically we predicted this year. Now, I want to call some attention to our resident optimist, Dayna O'Gorman, who just came in and shit all over this season from the beginning. She was like, guys, this is going to be awful. She had them under 500 midway through. She had them under 500 through 3/4 of the season. And then she had a 3-game winning streak at the end just to barely pull over 500. She and Deryck were both the most bearish on this year. And I'm wondering if you look back, how much did the year kind of go according to how you thought it would go to be, you know, not fantastic, or how much maybe was it a little bit better than you thought? Dayna, I'll go to you first. Well, I'll say this, and Deryck will come to you maybe in a second, but I would say Nathan, and like nobody was more than one game off the actual win total. So, a little golf clap. That's not bad, everybody. That's not bad. Nobody was horribly off. The way that I kind of decided who was absolutely the most atrocious at this was where did you pick them to end? And so if you were ever like the most you could be is one game off. Nathan and Trey were both one game off. They both picked the team to go to the NFC Championship. So I think that you guys win the award. Now, Trey's not on with us tonight, but Nathan, you're going to speak on his behalf as well. What did you think about how this season went relative to how you thought it was going to go?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty different in the end. Oh wow, it's just me, huh? Oh boy. The offense obviously cratering was a huge surprise. I mean, that I think I definitely thought was going to be the strongest part of this team, and then the defensive ups and downs were really surprising. I think Mike probably had them at times playing better than I thought they might this year, but had them playing at times much worse than I had hoped he would have them playing. So it was really kind of a roller coaster. They never really got it all together. I think there were moments over the season where you could say, oh, this is a NFC Championship game worthy defense, or oh, this was a NFC Championship game or worthy offense, but not for very long and never at the same time. So they just never pulled it together the way I was hoping they would.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I'm wondering if that really, I find that like when my expectations are super high, and then it doesn't turn out to meet that it's the most disappointing kind of situation. Did you find yourself pretty annoyed with this season?
I did, but not because I thought they were really going to go to the NFC Championship game. That was me just being willing to ride the high of all the excitement of new coach and going into the season, all that. But they ended up stuck exactly where they've been for years and years, and that irritates me for sure.
All right, I gotta put a statement out there, and I just want to see your faces react to this. So if the offense had been what it had been for the first 8 games of the year, which is like a top 12 offense in most meaningful categories, and then the defense, and it sustained that, and the defense became what it became. Is it crazy to think that they could have won a couple games in the playoffs given this NFC, this field in the NFC? Okay. Evan's with me. Josh is with me. Dana's just laughing hysterically. I don't know what she's laughing at. Nathan seems troubled.
Yeah. It's hard to have watched what happened to Minnesota and not think Seattle would have been very susceptible to the exact same thing if they had managed to slide in.
Don't you think the opposite's also true? Like they, I'll go to Matt on this. They were better than the Rams when they played them both in Seattle. Like they were the better team. They were better than the Vikings when they played them in Seattle, and they made some at least I would say they were the better team. I don't think that they were better than the Vikings overall, but I would say that they should have won that game. So, and that's again with an offense that was generally not a top 12 group. It was really bad the last half of the year. So I don't know. Evan and Josh, am I right that you guys were like, no, that's not crazy to think that they could have won a couple games if the offense was just like top 12?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I hated Grubb so much, just because we had this this defense that was up and down, but I think towards the end we saw what their ceiling and floor was, and I really think if the offense was even just competent, they could just have an okay game, we would have made the playoffs. And every team that we could have gone against, we've shown that we could play well against them. So I just think that even winning one playoff game would have been such a crazy difference for this team and the perception of how people see it. Like a lot of people are talking about how it's a failure. Like we were one face mask away from making the playoffs against a team we would have played against and a team we almost just beat. So I don't know. That's the group. Like I think the offense just had to be just average and everything would have been different.
God, it sounds like the opposite of the last couple of years. Evan, what were you going to say?
No, this offense was completely anemic for a huge portion of this football season. And the lone bright spot was Mike Macdonald getting this defense looking like the best I think it's looked since 2017, literally. So I think they'd be playing this upcoming weekend. I don't think they'd be playing beyond it, but I could see them having one like a wild card game for sure.
Okay. If you haven't given the show a like and click subscribe, please do. We've got more prediction stuff to return to in a second, but I want to take a detour.
I don't understand. I don't understand why this keeps popping up.
We've got a super chat asking, does Nathan enjoy shrooms?
Please answer the question, Nathan.
Nathan, this is
actually you're in a work setting. You probably don't have to.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I've never done them. Where's this coming from, though? Why? I don't understand.
Somebody knows something about Nathan. I have noticed that the stash lasted all of 1 week. Yeah. It's disappointing to see that your wife won.
And that was a mistake
battle.
too, because the rest of it's so short. So I trimmed this to be short, and now I look like a baby. You can barely see my eyebrows here. Yeah, it's great. Just a keep off.
Yeah, I'm going to put you more in solo so we can really zoom in. Okay, so the detour I wanted to take was not that. The detour I wanted to take was, when you look back at this season, what player moment is emblematic that will be like, this is how I think of the 2024 Seahawks season. I'll start if that's okay, just to kick it off, and hopefully I'm not stealing anything from you guys. For me, it is Connor Williams snapping the ball over Geno Smith's head 7 times. That feels like the representation of, and then retiring. That whole Connor Williams experience feels like an encapsulation of, to me, the 2024 season. Evan, go ahead.
I have a good answer for this one. And it picks off, by the way, that whole Connor Williams experiment was such a nightmare. The first
so disappointing, man.
Retirement.
I was very wrong on that
though.
one. I was very wrong.
He wasn't bad when he played. He wasn't great, but he wasn't a negative.
The sailing.
The snaps were the problem.
Snaps were definitely
the snaps were.
Arizona coming to Seattle. The bright spot of this season for me was Seattle's defense, I think, showing signs of life for the future and showing a trajectory. I think that this could be like a top unit in the league with a couple of successful off seasons of talent replenishment across the board. But Arizona comes to Seattle. Do you remember that Devin Witherspoon play where he plants, turns around, sprints at Kyler Murray, tracks him down, and basically causes, I think it was Julian Love. Wait, or was it Kobe Bryant who got it?
Kobe Bryant.
Somebody caught the interception, but that was a pure hustle play by Devin Witherspoon that really showed just how much of a game wrecker, how much of a game changer he is on the football field. There were some words that I forget Mike Macdonald used to describe him this year, but it's maybe it was energy multiplier or something like that. But he's just a guy that I hope this defense builds around and almost mimics in terms of the energy that they pursue, because to me, that is the future of this football team. It's a defense that even if, they may give up a drive or something to lose the game or something, but they're going to play their asses off with heart, and they're not going to let a Mason Rudolph come into that, into their stadium and throw for 500 yards. It's just not going to happen. So I think it's more of a personality vision that I have for this football team. And that play, I think, stands out as one of the most incredible plays of this football season.
Josh, you look like you're dying to say something.
Yeah. So I have a play, but then I also have a player. They're different. But
Okay.
for me, because both of the position groups, I feel like you can't put them into one bag. They're so different, or the sides of the ball this year, offense and defense, they're so different this year. But for me, for the offense, the interception Geno threw against the Rams that took back all the way, I forgot that like got erased from my memory, and then it came up on my timeline. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then that ended up causing us to lose that game. And it's just like such a perfect encapsulation of how the offense had felt. But for me, the defense, and I can't think of a specific play. I know there was one early, but it probably was like nothing crazy. But it was just like something Ernest Jones did early on when he got traded for. It just like you instantly saw like the difference when he took over. And like when Tyrell Dodson was in, you didn't see that. He had maybe like one play early on where he like got a nice step, but like you didn't see that consistently. And just the fact that Mike McDonald went out and got him and he was his guy, and then he was paired up with Knight, who was also his guy, and he had two of his like guys, and it just like changed the whole offense. That to me for the defense really like it gave like that's how I view the year is like he saw an issue and he fixed it. And that's what gives me the most confidence. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, they played bad against in certain games. Yeah. And they played good in certain games, but that's what like gave me the most hope for the next few years.
I think that's really, really well said. Deryck, I haven't heard from you in a while. Gebe.
That comment by Corey has me laughing, by the way.
Corey Coleman, for people that are listening, not watching, it says, when Laken Tomlinson blocked his own teammate who was already blocking somebody, which blew up a run play, you're going to have to be more specific. Deryck, what about you?
So I'll also have two. And Josh, in that LA game, Geno actually threw 2 red zone interceptions that game. So I think those were very emblematic of Geno's season of like got to the red zone. It looked really great between the 20s and then everything fell apart. And that's a lot of that's on Geno, a lot of that's on Grubb. I think the bigger thing for me was probably Leonard Williams. And I can't remember if it was the Jets game or the first Cardinals game when he had like 2 sacks. I know he had the interception in one of those games, just took over the game. And it was the first time in a very long time since it's felt like the Seahawks have had a defensive player really take over a game. Like maybe Frank Clark did it once or twice, but before that, you probably have to go back to Michael Bennett in like 2017 era. It was the first time that sure, he had a game like that. That Niners game, whatever year that was. 2018, 2019, can't remember.
I think it's 2019.
Yeah, I would say that kind of stretch of games where Leonard Williams was just, and he finished the season dominant, but he really had a couple dominant performances there that were really encouraging to see.
We got a super chat, and then I'm going to get to Nathan and Dayna on this question. You should have seen the chat when everyone realized that Griff was in the chat. He gives us a love y'all super chat. Everyone's so excited to see Griff. Always good to have Griff around. And if you haven't checked out the Seattle Overload podcast, you definitely should. He and Maddie crushed it this year. A lot of great insights. Dayna, what are you going to remember? Who's going to help you? What's the play or the person, the player that's going to help you remember this season? Yeah, I think that's a good one. Nathan, how about you?
2 safeties and a half of a game that they won. That is maybe more of a negative lean than everyone else this year. But yeah, that was something that I don't think I've ever seen before. I hope I never see it again, at least not watching the Seahawks. But they won. They beat a playoff team in a game where they gave up 2 safeties and a half. So weird stuff.
Well, there's another one that I think is worth calling out here, and it is why won't it let me? There we go. Not that game. This game. all but two of us predicted the Seahawks to lose in San Francisco. The only two of us to predict a victory in that game was yours truly and the missing man, Jeff Simmons, predicted a victory in that game. I was trying to find, I have somewhere on my computer a picture of Evan Hill with pumpkin pie all over his face. People in chat who are members freely can take advantage of the Pie Evan chat emoji. But that was also a memorable moment, I think, for all of us this season. Not necessarily like the Pie Evan face for sure, but winning against San Francisco, winning in San Francisco, and I think potentially ending that franchise's like current reign feels like a pretty big moment in this season. Is that the highlight of the season from a game perspective for you guys? I'm curious. Yeah, I see a lot of nodding heads. Does anyone have one that was a bigger highlight?
I don't know if it's a better highlight, but the Falcons game felt more complete just from both sides of the ball. But then seeing them fall apart kind of changed that perspective of like, oh, maybe they just weren't that good. But just from a total complete team standpoint, I'd say the Falcons game, but the 49ers one felt way better.
That felt momentous. I mean, Evan, we talked about that after that game. Like my comment after that game was, this kind of validates the Mike Macdonald hire, period. Like Pete Carroll, for as much as we love him, could not beat his division opponents for the last 3 or 4 years. He had been killing Shanahan for many years and then couldn't. Mm-hmm. Same was true with the Rams. And I feel like that was a big kind of stamp for Mike Macdonald.
I think if you had told Seahawks fans going into the season that Mike Macdonald would dominate the Cardinals in both games and split series with the Rams and Niners and probably should have won both games against the Rams, 100% of Seahawks fans would take that outcome. Mm-hmm. It's just the reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, the most complete game was probably the second Arizona game. That felt like where they were their closest to best version of themselves. I saw that smirk, Nathan. Did something make you laugh in the chat? Or okay, okay. I wasn't sure if you had a different opinion. I'll let you off the hook. So then, what was the low point of the season? What was the most disappointing part of the season? I'll show you one that I'm guessing is going to probably be on a lot of your lists. Every single one of us picked the Seahawks to beat the Giants at home. Every single one of us was incorrect about that outcome. I'm assuming that that's where a lot of you would say is the most disappointing part of this year. Yes.
The Bears game, though, was probably not far behind. That I was not quite as radicalized as Josh out of that one, but 6-3 was brutal.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. A lot of people really hated that game.
I'll also toss in the Packers game. Just
that ended
the season. The season wasn't like, we knew by then this wasn't going to be a contending team. You know, they were kind of a fringe playoff team, but it was still, you had a big Sunday night game, an opportunity to sustain your lead in the division, and you just get ran over from the very first drive. Just flattened all game.
That's where I'm at, Deryck. Like, you're right. I didn't have delusions of grandeur with that team, but that game, they had their guys. They had already figured out how to play well. They were on a winning streak. They were at home. The Packers proved that they were not that great of a team. When I had done the breakdown of the Packers and I looked deeply at them, like they didn't have a signature win really either. And so I was like, maybe this is the moment that the Seahawks kind of welcome themselves to not the top tier, but like the next tier of like competitive teams. They weren't competitive in that game. Like they just got their asses handed to them, and they got them handed to them right from the start on defense and with the run game. And it was like, you know what? I've seen this from Josh Jacobs in this stadium before. I do not need to see this a second time. And that game is probably going to give me the most pause looking forward at this team. going into next year. Like, they don't have a single one of those games where you can say, all right, they proved their mettle against a team that's not even a Super Bowl contender, but like the tier below those guys. I see a lot of nodding
that
heads.
Game, with the way they just got out coached in the first half, I mean, and I think you can say that. I mean, you got to give them credit, Mike and the coaches credit, because they fixed it in the second half. But if it's something you can fix at halftime, it's probably something the coaches got wrong going into the game. And then kind of sneakily behind that is the Rams game, and the struggles there, right? And this team, like, the defense just can be really good, but not always putting it all together and like maintaining a high level is, like you're saying, one of the things that like I'm low-key worried about with Mike going forward.
I think it's fair. Evan, look, you look like you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Slight negative twist on a question, but like zooming in on the roster for a second, is there a player that this group really wanted to take like a sizable step forward this year that we didn't feel like he did, and like enough of a step, like somebody we want to rely on as a cornerstone of this roster moving forward? It could be like a Boye Mafe, a Derek Hall.
Boye Mafe was the name that came to my head, and he wasn't terrible, but I think he was kind of the same player we've seen the last 2 years. Got some sacks, was great. You know, he can be a decent pass rusher at times, but he still doesn't seem like a complete player, and certainly not a Pro Bowl level player, which I think is still maybe his upside, but it's becoming less and less hopeful.
Other perspectives. Brian, you look like you're holding back on somebody.
I don't want to say because I'm going to get accused of being a hater.
It's Geno. You're saying Geno. It's okay.
I think it's at some point you got to look at the player and not the coaches and not the everything else. DK he's kind of the bellwether of the offense here. Like through that Atlanta game, they were essentially a top 12 offense. Everything was humming along. He had 99 yards in the first half before he got hurt. And yeah, he was hurt for a few games. Maybe he was hurt the rest of the year. I know everyone, like fans, just want to like say he was hurt. It's totally possible that's the case. It's also very plausible. Like he's gone through stretches like that every season over the last few seasons. And it seems to happen when defenses like play the Seahawks offense a certain way, when they shade coverage, that they don't have a way to get him the ball. The idea that every offensive coordinator doesn't have ideas for how to get him the ball, like there are not that many different ways to do it. At some point, there may be like a limit of what he's like, the routes that he can run, the types of plays he can make, the contested catches that might require, if you're going to get double covered, you're going to have to make catches with someone hanging on you sometimes. And I watched him every single day in training camp, and guys, everybody, he was making contested catch after contested catch. Like they were highlight reel number one receiver kind of catches. We saw maybe two of those this year, like the one against Miami where I think he sunned, I can't remember who that was, that it wasn't Kendall Fuller. I think that guy moved to Chicago, but one of those guys. And then he had another later on, but he ends up towards the bottom of the league in contested catch rate again. And that was a huge bummer to me. I'm not willing to just chalk it up to injury. And so that was really disappointing to me.
let's not forget, he went like, what was it, 3 or 4 games earlier in the season where he had a fumble in every single game, right? So
game-changing
fumbles. And if you remember Monday Night Football Lions game, he had a pivotal fumble that really felt like, I mean, that game, I believe, ended up being a 1-score difference or something close to it, right?
Not the way it ended, but yes, it was essentially a back and forth 1-score game for a lot of it.
You just wonder what the outcome would have been different if that fumble doesn't happen. So,
Yeah. What about other folks? Anyone else come to mind for Evan's question?
Evan was leading us into Reek slander, which I would support to some degree. You know, I don't think he took a step forward. And I jokingly said Spoon earlier, you know, and very different situation from someone like DK or Reek, in that he was still a very good player. But do we think he took a step forward in his second year? I don't think so. Spoon.
Who?
Spoon?
You think Spoon was significantly better than he was, or do you think he was?
I think he did because he played every game, and I think that's a pretty significant thing for his physical profile and the way he plays. I think that was always my number one concern with him when they went with him at 5.
But do you feel like that's
I think that was a pretty big deal.
Not a risk going forward. Like, he's not bigger. He's the same guy.
No, but it was a pretty big deal that he played every game. Like, I think that's a pretty big deal, but he didn't have the counting stats. I thought he got beat a couple times, definitely, and that was disappointing.
And I'm not trying to say Spoon.
I mean, I thought he was a legitimate Pro Bowl player, though, so it's hard to say that he was disappointing.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like, about the first part. Like, this isn't to say Spoon was bad by any means, but I don't think he took a step from where he was last year. He was very good last year. He was very good again this year, but he hasn't transformed. Like, he hasn't, hit that upper echelon or anything like that. So, very good player. He's a very good player. Could continue to grow, but like, we didn't see. I don't think you felt him this year the same way we did last year.
All right, let's get to some of the prop bets or predictions, I should say, for this year, and I will share this with you all. Nobody's seen this, by the way, unless they cheated and looked ahead of time. It's a bit of an eye chart, so we're going to start at the top here, and this is the biggest travesty ever. I just want to really focus on this. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. JSN receiving yards. I was so proud. You see this little formula I used up here? I had looked at second-year receivers and the growth and relative amounts of yards, and it averaged out to about 70 yards a game. I projected it. All we needed to do going into the final friggin' game of the season for JSN to have 50 yards or whatever, like a normal game, and I would have won. But he goes 4 catches for 9 yards in the final game, and Nathan Ernst snakes me on this prediction, you bastard.
That's still actually pretty wild that you just punched in 70 yards a game and he came within 30 yards of that.
It was pretty close. Don't say that specifically. It's going to really hurt for me to hear that too much. But Nathan gets that one cleanly. And let's just take a look at, Dayna. Josh, what a hater.
Josh is a
hater. Josh predicts 800 yards.
It's a Tyler Lockett stat. It's a Tyler Lockett stat, all right? I didn't expect him to just fall off the cliff. I'm a Tyler Lockett fan. That's it. Okay. We'll let you off with that. As far as predicting who had the most receptions on the Seahawks, see, everyone thinks I'm a DK hater. This is what I thought we were going to get from DK this year. I thought JSN was going to have the most receiving yards. I thought DK was going to have the most catches. I was wrong, as was Dayna and Deryck and Josh and Trey, but Evan, Jeff, and Nathan were correct in their JSN takes. But you know who nailed the Jason Myers missed field goals plus extra points on the nose? This guy. I know your man better than you know him, Evan. You were not close. You were the farthest away from true, just so you know, on this one. How does that feel?
I will not be commenting at this time.
It's okay because I had probably the worst prediction of any prediction, and I knew it going in that this was a real possibility.
Draymond.
I predicted Draymond Jones would. Yes, it was a last second. Like, let's just break away from what everyone was saying. You know, I just wanted to see if maybe Mike McDonald would turn Draymond Jones into, you know, his Jadeveon Clowney or his Kyle Van Noy. No such luck. We got a pretty wide array of choices on here. A lot of Nuosus from Evan and Dayna. We got Mafes from Josh, Deryck, and Nathan. We even got a Byron Murphy from Trey. Yikes. Jeff, the only one who ends up being correct with Deryck Hall. Somebody on here said something about Deryck Hall being disappointing. Who was that?
I think I floated his name as being potentially disappointing.
Well, no. So I don't know why I put Deryck Hall as the right one, other than the fact it's the closest. Really, nobody got this right. I should be really clear. Leonard Williams led the team in sacks. So maybe what we'll do, what do you guys think? Should I get the person who was closest, or should I rescind the points altogether?
0
I'm seeing Nathan say no. Rescind the points all. You guys are tougher than me. All right. We're taking that away. We'll have to adjust Jeff's points. Jeff, sorry, I tried to help you out. But no, we're taking that away. Woolen interceptions plus Witherspoon sacks. Devin Witherspoon had 1 sack, and it was on I think Caleb Williams running out of bounds.
Yeah.
For 0 yards.
As the guy who got this one right, or closest, I think some of these predictions were wild. Brian, Evan, Nathan. 10, 11.
I thought Devin Witherspoon would have 5 to 7 sacks this year. I really did.
Wow.
Well, and what did he? I remember actually like looking at this. I didn't just guess too much. He had.
Did he like Jamal Adams overnight? So
I mean, he had 3.
He blitzed a lot. They sent him a lot.
Year. Yeah.
And Reek had. I mean, what did Reek have his first year for picks? He had. Yeah,
6.
He had a lot.
Was shooting on upside here, but it wasn't actually out of the realm of possibility.
I'm with you. Nathan's making the case for Trey, myself, and him. But yes,
Brian, what was the actual number?
Terrible.
It was 4. It was 4. Okay. 1 sack for Witherspoon, 3 interceptions for Reek Woolen. Including the one in that beautiful game against the Bears. Just a wonderful defensive performance against the Bears. Loved it. The next one, this one was kind of a fun one, and there was a lot of different takes on this. First coach to be fired. I had to go back. I thought that Dennis Allen was the first one to get fired, and so I was going to give it to Evan, but it turns out it was Robert Saleh. So, Devin, you were very close to being right. Nathan ends up nailing it with Saleh.
I was so upset about that one. It really was.
It was a pretty good call, dude. You were very close. Nathan, you and Trey both got this, by the way. You know, did you feel good about this call from the beginning? Were you confident, or were you a little surprised?
One of my tenets of the season was that trash franchises stay trash. I did not buy into the Bears hype, the Jets hype, the Falcons hype, any of that stuff. Seahawks hype. I might have bought into that a bit. The one where it bit me was Washington. I was giving Dayna a ton of crap about, because they got blown out that first week, right? And that one has not worked out for me. But otherwise, I bet on dysfunction, and it paid off for me with Rick Johnson, or whatever the kid's name is, firing Robert Saleh.
Yeah, a solid one there. This next one, we'll just go through a couple of these quickly. We had Brock Purdy interceptions. I got this one on the nose. I think he had 12. I think his total this year. So I was the closest on the Evan had 22.
Josh had 25. Okay.
What the hell was going on?
Josh had 25. This is right.
I can't even
know. All-time hating. He hates Purdy more than he hates Grubb.
Reading too many Lombardi tweets, so I was ready to fire it off.
If you guys want to really make Josh's day, just make sure you at him when I mention Josh whenever Lombardi tweets something.
Yeah.
Josh is really troubled by him, as aren't we all? Nathan did predict 2 for Brock Purdy interceptions. That seems a little bit questionable. Next one was, will the Seahawks have a top 15 DVOA offense and defense? Only person to say no was Deryck. That's kind of surprising optimism from the whole crew. For what it's worth, the offense ended up being 18th. So it was close, but no cigar. Deryck wins that one. What's that?
What was the defense? What was the defense on DVOA?
10.
Okay.
10. Top 10. Finished top 10. And let's just be honest, that last game, everyone's like, oh, that game doesn't count, blah, blah, blah. That game screwed the defense. They were barely focused on that game. They had been spending all of Byron Murphy's money at steakhouses. They were not there to play, and they lost a whole bunch of statistics on that game, but it's okay. We still got top 10 DVOA. DK Metcalf over under 1,200 yards. I said over. Don't call me a DK Metcalf hater. Nathan was over. Everyone else was under. Everyone else was right. Unfortunately, Byron Murphy sacks over under. I was under, Evan was under, Deryck and Josh all correct. Everybody else incorrect. They said over 5.5 sacks. If I told you guys what defensive tackles do their first year and how many went over 5.5, it's not many. All pro players.
He also only had 4 in college. So he's true. He's never been a big sack guy. So
if you saw Kalijah Cansey with his little alligator arms try to tackle Jaden Daniels, just be ready for Byron Murphy to have a couple moments like that. Neither one of those guys are going to win any arm length contests. But Byron Murphy's going to be great. At least I think so. Seahawk all-pro players, first or second team counts. Nobody gets anything. You know why? Because we don't got none. 0 all-pro players for the Seahawks. Yikes. Evan, what are you thinking when you see that?
That's not good. That's not a good stat.
That's not a good stat.
I mean, we probably got snubbed on one, but you want more than one all-pro player.
Not the one that he picked either.
Yeah.
The one who got snubbed isn't actually on anyone's list.
That's a good point.
And I will point out, everyone's looking at me side-eyed for this spoon hate, but everyone except Brian had him as an all-pro, and he was not an all-pro. Hence, massive disappointment, bust.
Did anybody put Tariq?
Yes, one person took
Tariq. Who?
I did.
You get -1 point. That's not acceptable.
Jeff picked Tariq as well. He picked Spoon, Woolen, Dixon, and Kenneth Walker.
Ugh.
I gotta change. We'll get back to these in a second. Who was the most surprising positive player for you guys this year? Who is someone that
JSN?
Surprising positive. That was a surprise positive for you.
It's got to be more.
His rookie year was so disappointing, guys. He was not a featured part of the offense very much. Everything was. It seemed like they schemed some things. I was still optimistic on him because I thought he was a fantastic player in college and had a lot of talent, but I'm not sure I saw him going over 1,000 yards. Like Josh said, though, that's also a factor of Tyler Lockett really falling off. But I still give it to Jason.
I'll give you a name, Jarran Reed. Evan, suck on it. Acknowledge it. No Quentin Jefferson. Quentin Jefferson could never have the season that Jarran Reed just had. Acknowledge it. You can't.
I hate this podcast.
Just take the L.
I hate it so much. Why am I here?
We love you, dude. We love you. Who else? Anyone else come to mind? Is like a Deryck Hall. I think
Tyrese Knight.
Julian Love.
There's nobody on this pod that was excited about that pick. I don't want to hear any revisionist history.
AJ Barner.
There you go. I was waiting for somebody to say it. Dayna, say more. All right, I need a show of hands on this one. Who do you want to start at running back next year? Do you want, if it's Kenneth Walker, I'm going to give you 3 choices, by the way, and you can only answer one. And don't give me this tongue-in-cheek crap. I want your honest answer, because I know what Deryck and Nathan are already planning to say. I want your honest answer.
Yeah, Kenny McIntosh.
Okay, first, Kenneth Walker. Who wants Kenneth Walker to start next year? Evan, Josh, Deryck. Who wants Zach Charbonnet to start next year? Dayna. Who wants Kenny McIntosh to start next year? Nathan. Derek's going to try to get in. He only gets one. Nathan, why? Come on. You really want Kenny McIntosh to start?
Yeah, trade Kenneth Walker. Start Kenny McIntosh because he's better than Sharps.
Ooh.
Based on what?
Ability, skill.
Come on. Give an answer.
He doesn't.
Would they accept that at Microsoft if you came in with that kind of weak answer? Come on, man. So what does he do that's better than Charbonnet?
I actually think they're pretty comparable. Like, they are both very physical. I kind of think that maybe McIntosh just has a little bit more juice, a little bit more explosion.
Okay.
I don't know. They're very similar to me in all honesty, and I just want my priors to be right on this one.
That's what I thought. That's all I needed to hear.
I do like the idea of seeing what you can get for K9. I don't know if he has any trade value, but I mean, he's just the injuries and everything, right? But
don't raise your hand, Evan. Just talk. Go ahead.
I need to talk about something with you guys.
Okay.
There's some major revisionist history and recency bias happening with Charbonnet right now. Weeks 1 through 10, this entire fan base hated this guy. Hated him. Okay? Couldn't do anything right. Okay? Sure, he can run the ball well when he has 8-yard gaps and 8-yard windows and when the offensive line is actually starting to play well, but he's a player that only plays well when everything is going well around him. K9 is an explosive threat anytime he touches the football. The offensive line can be shitting the bed all game long, and K9 is still a home run threat. Charbonnet, revisionist history, people only like him over the past few weeks. People were ready to off his head weeks 1 through 10. And then all of a sudden, because he can run through some 8-yard gaps, he's suddenly good at football? BS. Sorry. No. Recency
Dayna,
bias.
are you going to accept that?
Unacceptable. But here's the problem, Dayna, though. I'm going to push back on this on one piece. Charbonnet, whenever he touches the football, I don't care if he has a 10-yard freaking hole. He's not a home run threat. He's not. It's Evan Hill in the backfield taking the football and running and falling after 6 yards. I'm not a home run threat on a football field, and neither is Zach Charbonnet. We have consistency there. It's just not a thing. This is just insane to me, this revisionist history with this fan base, though. I saw this on Twitter towards the end of the season. This actually pissed me off. This is not okay.
Well, as most things Evan says, there's a kernel of truth, like there's a bit of truth in there and a lot of bluster. But like, dude, home run threat. Who had the home runs this year? Who did? Answer the question. Who did? How can you say he's not a home run threat? And here's the thing. This is coming from someone who said multiple times that if Kenneth Walker played in the game that Zach Charbonnet did down in Arizona, he would have had similar.
You're completely disregarding K9's like career history.
Hold on. He would have had similar yardage. I don't think Kenneth Walker scores a touchdown on the play that Zach Charbonnet scores a touchdown on. I don't think he runs that decisively into that hole, and I don't think he makes that cut back inside. Zach Charbonnet followed his blockers in a way that just Kenneth Walker does not do consistently, man. He creates his own opportunities. When things are blocked well, there is kind of a 50-50 chance about whether Kenneth Walker is going to actually pick the right hole. He struggles sometimes when the play is blocked well. So Zach Charbonnet is somebody who's at least going, he does, you're going to love this. He does what Tom Cable told Marshawn Lynch to do that unlocked Marshawn Lynch's game in 2011, which is to hit the hole that is the offensive line is creating as opposed to freelancing every single time. Charbonnet does that. Kenneth Walker does not.
I'm sorry K9 had some trauma and was seeing some ghosts this season. His guards were playing so well. He had so many big holes to run through early in the season. Their run blocking scheme was working really well, wasn't it? Really well. Yeah.
It was not.
Strong run.
Here's the thing. You can get the best of both worlds with Kenny McIntosh. So
you guys saw
I think you could get the worst of both worlds with Kenny McIntosh. And
what is this Kenny McIntosh like positivity coming from? You saw him run for like 11 yards 3 times, and you guys were like, "Oh my god!"
This goes back to the draft. No, this goes back to the draft. I was out on Charbonnet for the entire draft. I didn't like him. I thought he was way too highly thought of. Look, he's been great the last 6 weeks or whatever. But then when the Seahawks took Kenny McIntosh in the 7th round or whatever in the same draft, I said I think Kenny McIntosh is better than Zach Charbonnet. So I just want to see that come to fruition.
If he was drafted in the 3rd round, you guys would not be talking anything positive about him.
100%.
Anything.
Yes.
You did that.
Absolutely.
This is such an awesome example of Evan not paying attention to group chat at all. Like everybody that follows everyone in our group chat, Nathan or Evan knows that they just want to prove that running backs don't matter and that a 7th round running back is as good or better than a 2nd round running back. That's the whole bit.
We found our secret that we don't like running backs or the running game very much.
This is insane.
I did enjoy swapping people in the chat and Nathan just getting moved around without any power over it. That was fun. No. I needed Dayna and Evan to be side by side as they were having their Charbonnet debate. I just needed that visual. And your red kind of nicely breaks up the visual of what we got going on. So that was all, by the way, in the conversation of players that did better than you expected. Charbonnet, to know Evan's out there searching for chats that back him up. There's a couple other names that we haven't mentioned that I think are worth calling out, and I think they came up in chat. I think Kenny McIntosh belongs on that list. I think Kenny McIntosh did have a better year than maybe people expected. Kobe Bryant's got to be on that list, right? Like, he exits the year as the clear starting safety, and he was pretty good. Does anyone disagree with that? No. Derek, you have any disagree? No? Oh, okay.
This was his final rookie year, wasn't it?
No, next year. He came in the same draft. That 2021 draft, he's making it look even better. You know?
Interesting. Any GM commentary from the classroom on that one, 2021?
Were you crapping on Schneider to start this?
Yes, I was, but I'm curious for the alternate years here. Would we like to review that draft class?
No. Does it matter? Does it matter?
Very interesting.
Evan, they just went 9-8 for like the 8th year in a row. Doesn't matter.
10-7. 10-7. Last game counted.
No commentary from the class. Very interesting.
Has the 2021 class won them a playoff game yet?
They have not.
No,
Curious, Evan. You got quiet.
Okay, I got to throw a couple more out because they're not coming out at you guys. Josh Jobe, I don't think anyone expected him to be a decent player. I'm not sold that he's like the next great thing. I will tell you, Kobe Bryant, when I talked to him at the end of the year, I asked him, like, who's a guy that you think is going to break out next year even more? Josh Jobe was his answer. There's a lot of guys in that locker room that really like that guy. And usually that's a pretty good sign. Although if it was KJ Wright, we'd have some concerns. Josh Jobe seems like I'm going to throw out a couple controversial ones. I think Oluwatimi, he outperformed what I thought he would. I'm not saying he was great, but I really thought he would just get walked back like Joey Hunt style time and again. And he didn't. I thought he was a competent center.
This is the standard we've set.
No, Josh. This is the standard John Schneider is.
Because he's not sailing snaps like 15 yards above the quarterback's head.
Not retiring. He made it through the whole season without retiring. I think that's a great acquisition.
Yes. Not retiring and snapping the ball to your quarterback.
I will say Julian Love last year, wasn't he a Pro Bowler last year? He was way better this year. Like, he was only okay at best last year. This year he really was one of our better players on the back end. So I think he deserves a shout out. And AJ Barner, I see it in the chat.
AJ Barner.
I was waiting. I was like, where have you guys been on AJ Barner?
I said that like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, no, Deryck, you got to speak up, man. You got to speak up. Like, take a cue from Evan. I want to see Deryck attempt a AJ Barner rant, Evan style. No?
I'm not your guy for that. But I am an AJ Barner fan. He was fantastic. His blocking is awesome. He was a better receiver, I think, than what we saw at Michigan.
He's a blocking tight end, and he's legitimately our best receiving tight end.
That offense at Michigan was fairly limiting, but he really showed out this year, and I'm excited. I think he could easily be the tight end one for this team. Really, really happy with the 4th-round pick like that.
Deryck, you know what radicalized me was when Seattle came to Arizona, he was like a safety valve on some play, and he just trucked a defender in Arizona. And it wasn't like some absurd gain. It was like 13 or 14 yards, but the defender came up, and he just runs through his face. And when I saw that happen in person, I changed my tune. I want you to know that.
The play for me was – they had an end around at like the 1 yard line. Side note, it took him like 7 tries, I think, to get into the end zone on that play from like the 2 yard line. But there was an end around and AJ Barner like kicked out the guy, washed him out completely out of the play. It was just awesome.
There has been a bit of a change of tune for Evan around AJ Barner for sure. He was like, why are you guys all into AJ Barner? I don't get it. Like, that was a big conversation for a while. So it's nice to know you've made that change. Pharaoh Brown.
Oh, biggest disappointment.
Pharaoh Brown, you guys don't feel like he outperformed expectations?
Are you serious?
That bum freaking loser.
Oh, come
Bye. On. Goodbye. We paid him to block and he can't block.
It was a bad year for him, dude. It was a guy that when he did catch the ball, everyone was cheering for him to go down. Like, just don't try to extend the play. I will put one more name out there, and I think 0 people are going to agree with me potentially. We got more out of Satawa Lamea than I expected. I'm saying it like I'm putting myself out there. I thought he was a good. I thought he was a above average run blocker. I wouldn't even say he was just like, I thought he was a key reason why the running game became better at the end of the year. I'm not saying he's the destined to be offensive guard of the future, but I think he's got a legitimate chance to be.
It's giving Jake Curran.
Yeah.
That's you got Jake Curran end of the year story where he keyed the running game. It's possible. 6th round pick.
Have you guys seen the episode of South Park where they have to go into the Marianas Trench to bring the bar up because the bar has gotten so low for society that they have to bring it up? I feel like that's where we are with offensive linemen. We've accepted this guy who didn't he have a 0.0 PFF grade one game?
Yes, he did.
PFF, whatever, dude.
This is a guy that we are optimistic about. Like, what did you expect? Did you expect him to have a negative grade or something? Like,
This is the Stockholm syndrome that John Chandler has put us in.
I knew that this would be the opinion. I'm standing by it. I liked what I saw from Sataoa. I'll stand by it. We'll see if I look like an idiot next year, which could very well be true. Like anyone that thought that Abe Lucas was going to play 0 games this year and that he didn't exist, that I heard from everybody on this show. But right, Dayna.
I said he did not.
didn't Nathan get it right though? You got it
Wait,
correct.
that's not what I wanted to do at all. That's what I wanted to do.
Wait, what were you saying, Josh?
All right,
Hold on,
let's
Josh
power
has
through the
something
rest of
important
these.
to say, though.
What do you want to say, Josh?
You're the one who got it right on the amount of snaps he play, or the amount of starts he get.
That's what I was going to say. Nathan got it right. He started 7 games, is the accurate number. Nathan was closest. KP with 8. Deryck was 0. Not so close. Not so
Said
close.
0.
Most sacks this between Boye Mafe and Deryck Hall. Only myself and Jeff got that correct. Everyone else guessed Boye Mafe. Ken Walker receptions. He had, I want to say 45. Let me pull that up real quick to make sure I got the right number for you all, because I know you want to know. It was I think a career high in receptions. He had 46. 46 receptions, and Trey guessed 42. So he was the closest on that. He also snaked me. I thought if Kenneth Walker hadn't gotten hurt, I was going to get that one too. Geno passer rating over under 97. Yikes. Only 2 people got this right. Josh and Dayna, the Geno haters. Everybody just know they're Geno haters. Dayna, you want to acknowledge that or no? No. It's tireless work. It is tireless work. Seahawks 3rd down offense rank. They actually finished 21st. 21st in 3rd down offense. That means that Dayna was closest, and she was the most bearish at 15th. So that's not great that they managed to be worse than that. 3rd down percentage on defense rank. That turned out to be, any guesses where the Seahawks ranked on 3rd down defense?
10th?
9th.
10th is the correct answer. Both Jeff and Trey were 1 off. Trey was at 11. Jeff was at 9. So they both get a point for that. Charles Cross PFF grade. Charles Cross PFF grade. This one was kind of surprising. I think higher than we all certainly thought. Anyone want to posit a quick guess on Charles Cross's PFF grade this year, since everyone cares about PFF grades?
81.
80.2.
80.2. Anyone else?
78.
It was 82.5 is the correct answer. And that means that Trey was the closest with 77.8. Nobody had him over 80, so that's great. Christian Haynes starts.
Oh, man.
Yikes. If only Deryck was as bearish on Christian Haynes as he was on Abe Lucas, he would have nailed this one. Christian Haynes, despite playing a number of games, had 0 starts this year. Sataoa had a number of starts. So not a great first year for Christian Haynes. Last few here.
Wait, no, another bad guard pick by the GM of the Seahawks? Evan, anything to say?
You flip the table, buddy. Anything to say, Evan?
Last three points scored. Josh was closest. The Seahawks scored a whopping 22.1 points per game. Josh guessed 23.9, so we were all way off on that one. I was at 28.7. And then points allowed, the Seahawks allowed 21.6. Nathan almost on the nose, 21.5. Excellent work from Nathan there. Point differential was very small, and Josh Cashman ends up being right there, bringing a total of Jeff. Wait. I think took a point from the wrong person. My apologies. Nathan, Josh, and Trey win the prop bets. Okay. Now, this makes things very complicated for me because Jeff originally had the same amount of points. And if I really look at, what matters most, this prediction matters most. Jeff gets the most points for getting this correct. Nathan was one of the two farthest away. The other person who was the farthest away was Trey. So who does that mean won? I think that means that Josh? Are we good with Josh being declared the winner here?
Gosh.
Yes, we are.
I think that's right. Like, let's take a look at his schedule prediction again.
Man,
he got the record right. I think Josh, you're a winner, man. You're a winner. Congratulations. How does it feel? You win absolutely nothing.
I mean, as a longtime viewer of the show, third time actually on the show, I think I've proved I am probably one of the most knowledgeable Seahawks fans that we probably have ever been on this show. I mean, the proof is right there. That's all I can say. I think my JSN takes, my Grub takes have all come to reality, and hopefully I'm no longer just a memer, but an actual analyst.
Yes, that's how we're all going to consider you. I mean, for years we had to put up with Evan winning this and taking his predictions seriously. No longer. So that's my big celebration here. Evan, are you all right knowing that you didn't win this year?
I'm okay knowing that I didn't win this year, but Josh, I'm going to put you on the spot. In your holy wisdom, in your perfect track record of predicting the Seattle Seahawks outcomes historically, how many football games do the Seahawks win next year? Don't think about it. Just say
12. And that's going to the NFC Championship game, losing on a heartbreaking play, but it's a very promising moment for the Mike McDonald era.
To who? Lose to who?
The Vikings.
I don't know about that one. JJ McCarthy led Vikings.
12 wins is a cop-out.
They have Geno Smith, and we have Sam Darnold.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I hate you.
Geno goes on to win a Super Bowl trophy for Minnesota.
I knew you were going to say that.
It was all predicted right here.
Unbelievable.
It's also funny that my win-loss prediction is right, but I think I got every single one I looked. I got it wrong, but I just got the right amount of number. I got the right number.
You did. That is true.
The Seahawks do play the NFC South and the AFC South as their two divisions next year. So
if they're the same team they were this year. Yeah, right, Deryck? If they're the same team they were this year, do you think that's just 2 wins difference between the NFC North and the NFC South?
Could very well be.
Yeah.
I mean, look, teams get better. Some teams get worse. They also play. I see they play the Steelers. I'm not looking. They don't play the whole AFC North. So I don't know how they're playing the Steelers.
Can I be really honest? The thing I care about next year is they haven't announced who's hosting a game in Spain. Can that be us, or because home field advantage doesn't exist in Lumen anymore, so we might as well just start going to Spain. Or can someone else that we're playing host a game in Spain? We're going to Spain, folks. If that game's right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to go to the Nashville game too. the Titans game.
I'll be there, man. There's going to be some epic footage of us going around Nashville before that game. That should be fun.
Side note.
Yeah.
Brian, can I ask one more thing?
Of course you can.
Who wants the Seahawks to be on Hard Knocks?
Oh,
They are eligible.
Absolutely.
Oh, Dayna wants it now. She changed her mind.
Jeff is here.
Sorry, Jeff. It's not true. Go back to sleep.
Have a kid.
Deryck, you didn't vote on whether you wanted to be on Hard Knocks. Do you want them to be on Hard Knocks?
Sure. I'm not like crazy. I've never actually watched like a whole season of it. I've seen like single episodes, but I'm not an HBO person, so never seen the whole show. But I would love to get to know this. I think Dayna's right. It's a great way to get to know the staff, especially being so new. And after having Pete for 13 years, you felt like you knew everything about them. I think it'd be really good to see the new staff.
I would say one of the most painful parts of this year that had nothing to do with the Seahawks themselves was the fact that cable TV, which already is atrocious, but was always the fastest feed you could get of a sporting event, is now the slowest. I'm constantly like 2 plays behind people I'm texting with or tweeting with. I have to like turn my phone over. I can't watch games with people anymore.
You know what the fastest way to watch the game, like in almost real time, and I've found this out because I talk to people who use YouTube TV and all the other streaming, is I'm ahead of everyone when I watch on meth streams, like the illegal streaming service. I'm like way ahead of everyone else.
Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Digital antenna is actually like you can be on for like $20. Screw them into your TV. Brian always gets mad because I'll be in the group chat.
You are so far ahead. Ever.
It's like, Deryck, stop ruining the plays.
God dang. It's like watching the draft when someone says the pick and you're like, God, that's so annoying. And like now, like every play. That was something I'm gonna have to figure out. I saw a video last night on TikTok about that the way that on YouTube you can actually decrease the delay, right? Everyone's nodding their head.
It used to only last like, I don't know if it still does, but it used to only be like for 48 hours it decreased the delay. So you have to do it like every weekend. Okay. Yeah, it's way better.
All right, we got a power through some super chats. Appreciate this. Michael Mathis, been a member for 8 months, says, thanks to all of you for the content and analysis this season, especially Josh, who's the smartest of all of you. I'm excited for next year. You guys are great. Even when Evan's takes make me want to fight him behind the Tacoma Safeway. The pumpkin pie stream was iconic. Thank you, Michael. Longtime supporter of the show. Rick R. gifted 5 Hawk Blogger memberships before he had to deuce out. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for giving all these away. Old School Seahawks says, because Dayna OG, girl power. Yes. Everyone loves Dayna. No doubt about that. We already talked about Nathan and Shrooms, but why not do it again? Goat's Milk says the Vikings won a lot of games by 1 score. This is true and certainly did not come through for us in the playoffs, those bastards. Dogzilla Monster says Mongol Evans' haircut is right. Pros and cons. I don't understand what to make of that. Anybody? No.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I think they're saying like Evan has the same haircut as Genghis Khan, which I don't. Like, we didn't have a picture of him, so I don't know how we
Genghis Khan with like locks.
I don't think he had locks. That does not sound right in any way. Dad Always Doing Something says, first time super chat. Well, thanks for doing this. Low point of the season was players turning on the 12th man as a major cause of the problems at home. Really hurt as a season ticket holder. Evan also turned on season ticket holders. You should know. So you can blame Evan as well. He had some choice words for season ticket holders.
They were pathetic this year. Please continue.
Jordan comes with a super chat, says, I would like to see our OCs use slants, drag, and comeback routes with DK more often. Even when Waldron used those routes, he never went back to them consistently. Yeah, I think we saw like 2 slants for DK all year. It felt like that never happened.
But we saw 80 JSN screens, so thank goodness.
JSN had a pretty good year. Pretty good year. Dougzilla Monster says the most amazing show was Brian after the Packers game. I don't feel that way. That was my least favorite show. God, that was old Brian. I'm trying to grow as a person away from old Brian. Michael Mathis again says most surprising positive player for me is either Josh Jobe or Kobe Bryant. I lean more towards Bryant though. If I had to pick one, I think that's a fair one. Richie Brash, Mr. Anti-Geno Smith, Mr. Positive Jalen Milroe says, I knew I liked Josh and Dayna. I'll now accept their support for Jalen Milroe. I could have guessed this is where this was going. If Nathan does more shrooms, he'll be with us soon. Nathan, this is going to stick.
Yeah,
dude.
it's fine. I'll have to do a whole lot of shrooms, I think, to get on board with the Milroe train. But we'll see.
For Milroe, I was not a fan of his. Like I thought he was like his freak athlete, but that's it. But then I watched that Georgia game, and he was throwing dots. I'll say that. That's all I'm gonna say.
Did you watch any of their other 11 games this year?
Or last year?
Just watch the Georgia game.
Did you watch the bowl game where they lost to like
if we draft him, just watch the Georgia game and you'll be bought in.
Are you trolling right now?
No, he was actually really good in that game.
No, wait, do you want Seattle to draft him?
Late in the later rounds, as long as they don't reach for him. I mean, what else are they going to draft?
Like a top 15
another like.
Pick.
Oh, then no.
I still think actually him top 10.
Some people are.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
It is crazy. I feel like somebody needs to buy Nathan a Toad hat from Super Mario. So if someone can find one, purchase it, we'll get it shipped over to Nathan and he can wear it the entire next season. That will just be how Nathan shows up to these. Does that sound good, Nathan?
We got to think of some terms on that. Maybe. If they draft Jalen Milroe at 18, I'll wear a shroom hat all year.
What if they sign Trey Smith?
That's your guy.
Okay, who in free agency? Who in free agency would you like? Who's the guard that you'd say if they sign this person?
Fraley Udinsky. If we get Fraley Udinsky, I'll wear it.
That's even possible.
That's how bad I want it. I would wear a mushroom hat all year.
Okay, we won't make you wear it all year, but if that happens. Yeah. All right. Any other closing thoughts before we shut down this train, before it gets further off the tracks? Evan?
I think we're going to know the future of Geno Smith very, very soon.
Oh, should we take a prediction on whether Geno's back?
Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do a quick couple of predictions. Let's do a few. Is Geno Smith the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks next year?
Yes.
Show of hands.
Oh, God.
Evan, it's an easy question.
Lightning round.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
Okay, so Evan is the lone. So now I got to ask you who is going to be.
I think it might. You know what? So the small part of my brain, the very small part of my brain that is logical, the very small part of my brain that is logical is telling me that Geno Smith wants a strong financial commitment from this football team, and John Schneider is not going to give it to him. And you know who's waiting on the bench for his opportunity that John Schneider, for some reason, loves? Is Sam Howell. I could really see this being like a breakdown in negotiations that gets personal. And Geno's like, then cut me. Let me be a free agent and let me find a home somewhere else. And I could see that happening.
Can you imagine if he brings in? Oh, go ahead, Deryck.
We're gonna have the choice of the two Sams, Sam Howell or Sam Darnold.
I would so much rather like eat shit and tank. So I'll take Sam Howell for sure.
What about the Sam Howell, and then he brings Drew Lock back to be the competitive?
Oh my God.
Is that the worst case scenario?
You know what's crazy is this is like not even remotely realistic.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Look at Josh. He is like rocking back and forth. He's like self-soothing already. The season's not even happening. Okay. Is DK Metcalf, show of hands, is DK Metcalf on the Seahawks next year? If yes, show your hand. We got Evan making a stroke face. Okay, there we go. And Derek's the lone no. Okay, Derek, what's happening?
I think they're going to extend Geno Smith, and I think they're going to need to find some cap space to do it.
All right. Most important question. Will the Seahawks spend meaningful free agent dollars on a good offensive guard in free agency?
Depends.
Yes.
Are we holding a certain person hostage, or, like doing any criminal activity involved, or is this just like sitting back?
You can imagine whatever you'd like. This is a yes or no question with whatever context you'd like to add. If yes, show your hands. I'm the only one. I think they're going to do it. And I mean, I'm not saying like they're necessarily going to sign Trey Smith at $20 million a year, but I think they're going to spend over $6 million a year.
No, get out. Get out.
What are you talking about? That's secondary
John
guard market.
Schneider-esque logic here. No, that doesn't count as meaningful.
Kevin Zeitler was $6 million last year. Josh, that is absolutely
double digits. I don't want to hear about it. You're looking to basement like a bargain basement shop there. That's waiting for all the top guys to get signed and then seeing who's left and trying to do it that way.
I think they're going to spend between 8 to 10 million.
I think you got to break double digits to say it's
Damian Lewis got 15, right? Like,
I mean,
he got
13.
They
paid $8 million to Luke Jokel back in like 2018.
What did Lake Thomas get?
They're also at like 28 million in negative cap right now. So
it doesn't matter. That's all fiction. It's fiction. They'll be under that in a second. I got one more that's random. Is Noah Fant going to be on this team next year?
No, I hope not.
I think he's going to be.
Ugh. Better not be at that price.
That's right. That's how I feel. But I think he's going to be.
Guys, in 2025, he has a 13.5 million cap hit.
Yeah, it's awful.
I think when you go to one OC to another, they go on the benefit of the doubt that the old OC was the problem, so they keep everyone. That's what I think is going to happen, and then he's going to be the same guy he has always been, and then we're going to be like, oh, and then next year will probably be the end of him. But I think whoever we hire, they're just going to be like, oh, now he'll be as good as we think he'll be in year like 5.
These contracts suck.
Who signed those?
Do you know how much dead money there's going to be if they cut Fant, Lockett, Draymond Jones? They're carrying like 25 million dead money just from 3 guys.
How much does Denver have in dead money?
I don't know. But
why do they have that dead money, Derek?
Because John Schneider.
Why does Denver have this massive amount of dead money still?
John Schneider made an amazing trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the thing is, the Seahawks haven't improved at all since. So it's not that amazing.
Oh my God.
Hold on. What was the record? What was the record the year after they traded Russ? Or the year they traded Russ? Like 9-7? 9-8? Wait, what did they finish this year?
10-7.
10-7? Did they make the playoffs?
Yeah.
They did not.
Wait,
did they win a playoff game?
Are you are an analytics guy. You are not Simple Simon on this, man.
Russ was in the playoffs.
I will Simple Simon when it needs.
Yes, you will. That's exactly what's happening. Don't make me break out the defensive rankings.
I'll give John Schneider credit for the Russ trade, but it's kind of completely unwound by the fact that he traded for Jamal Adams, like the same compensation 2 years earlier. A year earlier?
I can't do this. I can't. I can't. Like, we'll be on this show for another 20 minutes.
I will never forgive him for that Jamal Adams trade. I will never.
I think you would. If he was right in front of you right now, you'd be very kind to John Schneider.
If he was in front, no, actually, I'm not going to say what I would do if he was in front of me right now. No, I will not forgive him for that trade. And I will not forgive this fan base for pretending like he was good for a couple of years beyond it, too. Not doing it.
Wait, are you talking about Jamal or John?
I'm talking about Jamal. I'm talking about Jamal. You ass.
Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you all for spending all this time recapping what was a really weird 2024 season. Let's hope 2025 breaks from whatever curse we've been under. We will be back with prediction show when we get closer to that year or that season. Between now and then, tons of stuff going on. Tomorrow I have Brandon Thorne coming on first thing in the morning, offensive line guru, to talk about whether or not Satao LeMay is any good, and whether or not Olo Timmy's any good, and whether or not there are any offensive linemen that are worth the Seahawks drafting this offseason. I will not be asking Brandon Thorne about shrooms, so you can be sure of that. And then it's funny, Daniel Tosh on his show asks every guest the same question: do they believe in ghosts? I am considering whether I say, do you take shrooms as my question I ask everybody. I think that would not go over nearly as well. So, and then Friday, as I said, we have Mike Sando on, and then we have Ben Gosling of the Minneapolis Star Tribune coming on. So lots of good stuff. Episode 300 of Hawk Blogger Mornings will be Saturday morning with Jeff Simmons. We're going to go through the free agent market, and we're going to give you our top 10 free agents. We're not going to tell each other what they are. We're going to reveal them on the show Saturday. And then Rob Staten's coming on Sunday morning to talk draft. So we got a lot of good stuff coming your way. Make sure you like, subscribe, and find us at patreon.com/hawkblogger. Thank you to Josh Cashman, Nathan Ernst, Deryck Gebe, Dayna O'Gorman, Evan Hill. Love all you guys. Really appreciate it. And we will see you all very soon. I'm sure the group chat's going to be hopping tonight. Take care, everybody. Hey folks, this is Brian Nemhauser. Thanks for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Want you to know that Real Hawk Talk is available on all major podcast platforms. Go ahead and subscribe. Have all podcasts delivered directly to your phone after each and every show. And then go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. Helps us out, gets more people to the show. Then, if you haven't already done it, go to patreon.com/hawkblogger and subscribe for just $5 a month. Gets you immediate access to our Slack channel. Join hundreds of folks in that community to talk Seahawks about wins, losses, and all things in between. Not to mention, become eligible to win giveaways for Seahawks tickets and get to ask questions of the Real Hawk Talk crew every week on the show. Finally, if you haven't gone to hawkblogger.com recently, head on over. Tail the Tape morning after articles are there every week. Hoping to see you there. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. Go Hawks.